Hello, this is Andy from MetalTalk, and today we're in London and we're speaking to Roger Glover from Deep Purple about a couple of things. First of all, you've got a new album coming out. There's a big long world tour coming out as well, and I've got a number of interesting questions and really pleased to meet you. So
I've got some answers here somewhere.
Brilliant.
Yeah. How you doing?
Very good, fantastic to see you. What I'd like to do is to start with the end in mind.
Okay.
So how much have you read into the new album title, Infinite, or is it Infinite? Is it a statement of finality or infinity?
Well, it's whatever you think it is, really. We couldn't come up with a title for this album. Not that we were thinking about ending or anything, but we just left it to the record company.
Yeah.
And they came up with a title mainly because Now What had a great image on it, had a question mark and and it's like very immediate.
Yeah.
And they were looking for something like that, and I don't know, they sent us an image of the infinity symbol, this bing bing bing.
Made out of the
Yeah.
letters D and P.
Well, no, it was the infinity symbol isn't that really, but it's similar.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a pretty good image. And so what are you going to call it? And they said Infinite. Oh, okay, decision made. We don't read anything into it, and I think actually the way they made that symbol work in the ice and stuff is brilliant. I mean, we just saw that, and we give up. We can't do anything better than that.
That's great. And if we go back all the way back to the original concept of Roundabout, when the band first came into being, there was this idea of having a revolving door, an evolving lineup of musicians. But I guess that's kind of fallen by the wayside because the current lineup has been together for about 15 years. Do you envisage a time in the near or distant future where there'll be a Mark 8, a Mark 9, I think we're on Mark 8 right now. Do you see that, or do you see this as being the definitive lineup for Infinity?
I think the last 23 years has been the most consistent period in the band's history. The only one change was Don.
Yeah.
And that was a friendly change. There was John left. He didn't, and so I can't envisage. I mean, we don't envisage anything. We don't actually plan much for future. You know, the future will take care of itself. I kind of like that phrase.
Yeah.
But no, Steve said in the movie, he said, I may not be the first guitarist in Purple, but I'd like to be the last.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Which is a lovely thing to say, and. I feel the same about the bass. I may not be the first bass player, but I'd like to be the last.
That's great. And the world tour that starts in May, it's got an interesting title. Now, I don't know whether this was you or third parties. It's entitled The Long Goodbye. It's a deliberate, and to do with that, what I also noticed is you've got the European dates, then you've got the US dates, and then the final dates moving into November. In the UK, is that a conscious decision to have the UK dates at the end?
No. It's called The Long Goodbye because none of us can actually face the fact that we're going to end at some point. Yeah. As you say, the band's been going for a long time, and especially this lineup. And we're happy doing what we do. Yeah. It's just a sort of realization. Pacey had a little hiccup last year. Yeah. As Ian Gillan says, he's walking down a pavement, he hears a clunk, and he looks at it, and something else has fallen off him. We're all getting to that age where we're okay at the moment, but fragile is not a word I'd like to use. Although this morning I feel a little fragile. But no, it's a realization. It's a wake-up call. The world tour is going to go beyond this year, as far as we can tell. And it may go on another year. We don't know how long it's going to be. We're just putting ourselves and our fans on notice that don't expect us to be doing this when we're 110.
And there'll be a nice symmetry because when we get into 2018, then you're past the 50th year.
Yeah, I mean that was pointed out to us. Although we don't really measure time like that. We don't celebrate anniversaries. A lot of fans come up, it's 30 years since you did something. So, oh really? It's not something that occurs to us. Birthdays, anniversaries, they're all kind of they're markers in time that we don't really want to acknowledge.
Exactly right. And given that, you're playing a lot of places, a lot of countries over between April and November. On this extended tour, Are there further places you've never played before you'd like to play that you're thinking about?
Well, we've never been to the Arctic. That's one place.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't want to go there. Very few, actually. Very few. I can't think of many countries in the world that we haven't played. You know, the middle of Africa,
Yeah.
some of the Middle East, although we've done some.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate, really, to have seen the world many times over, as much as you see it on the road.
Yes, exactly. And then moving on to the album itself, the second album that has been produced by Bob Ezrin. What qualities does he bring to the creative process?
Oh, infinitesimal. He's great. It becomes almost like a member of the band. We didn't know him when we started Now What, but by the end of Now What, we were firm friends. He respects us, we respect him, we trust him. It's a very nice relationship, and he's a dynamo in the studio. We kind of, we're not hard working, we don't have that hard work ethic, unless we're on the road, of course.
Yeah.
But just writing, we might argue all day about a chord sequence or something like that, but Bob's the one that just cuts through all that and just says, right, this is what you're doing, forget that. That's needed in a studio. It saves time and it keeps us fresh. And he's also, I mean, he's a great musician, he's a writer. He's proved his salt. So when he says something, we do listen to him. I remember on Now What, we were, Ian Gillan and I was reminding Ian Gillan about one of the songs we'd written. I picked up an acoustic guitar and said, yeah, it goes a bit like this. And from the other side of the room, Bob on his computer said, not liking this. What? Yeah, I'm not liking it. But you haven't even heard it yet, Bob said. I don't care. I don't like what I've heard. And he was absolutely right. We were barking up the wrong tree. And so we went back and rewrote the song, and it turned out so much better. So that kind of input is crucial. And it's very quick. You know, we're not in the studio for months on end trying to perfect things. He saw in us the live band that we are, and that's what he wanted to bring in the studio. So as much as possible, we record live. And I think that makes it sound good. And it sounds good. That's another key ingredient. He's got a great engineer. We work in great studios, and the actual sound of the album is very pleasing. I play it, you know, to entertain myself. Usually I never play an album when we finished it, because I've already heard it 10 million times.
And I was looking it up. It's I think over 10 years since you did you acted as a producer yourself. I think on the mix for the Dream Theater album.
Oh, I was just mixing. I wasn't producing.
Yeah,
I was just mixing it.
And well, then if you go further back, you go back to, was it '98 and Abandon?
Yeah, Perpendicular and Abandon. Yeah, I mean the band produces itself, which it really means I do all the work and they piss off. Yeah.
So in terms of the next phase beyond the tour, is that something that you'd like to get back to producing, or you kind of done with that?
I love being in studio. I love making music. Whatever it takes for me to get involved with music, I'm fine with that. If my hearing is still intact enough at the end of this, yeah, why not? I'm open for anything, really. I'm dreading the idea that there's going to be no Purple, and I think all of us are.
Yeah.
It's filled up our lives so much that there'll be a massive hole when it's not there. Yeah, I'll turn myself to anything that involves music.
And I've heard you describe yourself first and foremost as a songwriter rather than the bass player, which I found quite interesting. So, is there a prospect of a sixth solo album? Do you have like a bank of songs that you composed that don't really fit or didn't fit into the album?
Yeah. Oh, you mean Purple?
No, yeah.
Oh,
so
my
of your stuff, your solo.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I can't stop writing songs. It's maybe it's some kind of disease. I don't know. Excuse me, doctor. I keep writing these songs. Can you give me some pills?
Yeah.
No, I wrote a lot of songs for the last album and kind of weeded through them. Some I thought were a bit too human and revealing. I was going through a nasty divorce at that time, so the songs kind of reflect that. And the really painful ones I didn't put on the album, because I thought, well, I don't really want to wash dirty laundry in public that much.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of ideas that I could return to and change. And every day, I think, not a day goes by without me picking up a guitar, playing a few chords, or writing a couple of words, or making a little digital recording of an idea. I've got thousands of them. And it's amazing, really. I keep on doing it, and I forget to actually go back and listen to them.
Yeah.
So every now and again, I go back and listen to something I did maybe 20 years ago. And I think, oh, why didn't I finish that? It's actually quite good. You know? So I think there's a phrase I heard a little while ago that I love. It said, "The older I get, the better I was."
That's a great way of looking. I also noticed you share, you paint and draw. You share a lot of your artwork on your own website, the rogerglover.com website. So I guess, is that something that you think you'll be spending more time on, more watercolours with shades of pastel and purple?
Shades of pastel and purple. I've never thought about it. To me, it's all part of the same kind of creative urge, if you like. Whether it's music or painting or writing, or it's all part of that same kind of desire to express something. I don't think I'm the greatest painter. I'm not going to stop the world, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy it when I enjoy it, but when I don't enjoy it, I'm frustrated by it, because as soon as you've got a vision in your head and you try to capture that, it's a fight. It's the same with music, actually. As soon as you've got a plan, you've got to stick to that plan.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you have to have a plan, but more frequently I like to let things happen, let life roll on and just react to it, rather than trying to control it. You can't control nature, and you can't control your life, really. You just go with it, roll with it. Well, is it roll with it? That's the word.
Yeah. Great. And coming back to the tour, I noticed on the US leg of the tour, it's a co-headline with Alice Cooper. Is there a subliminal Bob Ezrin factor in there? Or?
No, there's not. We've worked with Alice before, and he's a lovely guy, great band, and a really hard act to follow.
Yeah.
I guess we're masochists putting him on the bill. But no, it's a happy junction. And also Edgar Winter Band is going to be on that tour, and I'm a huge Edgar Winter fan from the 70s. So I think it's going to be a good bill, I think.
So was that presented to you, or did you have a word with someone that it'd be great if we could here's kind of a short list of ones you'd like to work with?
No, we don't have any control over that whatsoever. We can say what we like, but no one listens to us. It's all down to agents and managers and dates and percentages and God knows what. I don't know.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
glad I don't do that. I'm not in the business. Music business.
And with the new album, I mean the first, I guess, set of songs that become public around the Time for Bedlam EP.
Yeah.
What I really liked about it's got like a really strong progressive vibe to it. You've got songs, I think there's an instrumental of Hip Boots that's on there. Don's keyboards are really prominent, they're really strong. It's and it's almost got a funky edge to it. So I'm wondering whether the songs on that EP, are they representative for the whole album? And then, I guess, a related question, do you have a personal favourite track that you come back to when you're listening to it?
Well, Paradise Bar was a track that we were working on for the album, but I don't know, it sort of fell out of favour with us. The other two tracks are, I can't remember what's on it now, is it Uncommon Man?
Yes, there's an instrumental of Uncommon Man.
On Hip Boots, right, yeah. Paisley found a recording of when we were rehearsing Hip Boots, which he put forward and the record company liked. I haven't even heard it, to be honest. Hip Boots is one of my ideas, and I remember being in the studio trying to tell the people what I wanted, tell the band what I had in mind, and played it rather clumsily, but it was Steve that picked up my clumsy riff and refined it a bit. And I don't know, if any one track typifies the album, I don't think that's true. I think it's a pretty diverse album. Hip Boots came from a phrase I heard decades ago, apparently about the origin of the word hip. Yeah. And opening two lines of the song say it all. You can bury me up to my knees in shit, but I got my hip boots on. So, I'm untouchable, I'm cool, I also there was the word dig. Hey, let's dig. I mean, I dig that, and cool. All these kind of jazzy words from the 20s and 30s, you know. It's interesting where they came from. Hip is the only one I know. I don't even know that it's true, but I want it to be true.
Yeah.
My favourite track on the album? Boy. I think The Surprising is a pretty amazing track. But I've also got a soft spot for Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I heard a little preview of that, and that sounds great.
Yeah, it's you know, Ian Gillan and I write together or separately. That's one of mine. When we write together, it's a kind of sparks fly between us. We have conversations and push each other along, and we're honest with each other. I don't like that, you know. And during before we got back into the writing, the vocal writing session, I'd go down and visit Ian for a couple of weeks, and we sort of bash them out. But sitting at home before that, I came up with this whole Birds of Prey concept. So I like the sound of it. Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about it is that it's not verse, verse, bridge, middle eight, chorus, solo, verse, verse out, or chorus, chorus out.
Yeah,
that's the, you know, and that works because it's such a nice workable format, and most songs fall into that category. Birds of Prey doesn't.
Yeah,
it's like Perfect Strangers in that respect. It doesn't, you know, repeat itself, or very little anyway. And that to me is great because it takes you on a journey. You don't quite know where you're going to end up.
Yes.
You know?
I think the last time that I spoke to you briefly was with a colleague of mine called Mark Taylor, who's also writes for MetalTalk. And when we spoke, you mentioned that you'd seen us at the front, you know, rocking out, rocking away. You probably remember Mark's shirt more than Mark himself. And the thing you said is that the band's performance is directly related to the fans. You feed off the fans in the audience. Tell me about that, you know, how the fans kind of inspire your performance.
Well, if you walk on stage and there's 5 of you, and there's 5, 6, 7, 8,000 out there, how can you not be moved by that?
Yeah.
There's a palpable kind of feeling coming from the audience, especially if they're on your side and they're waiting for you. I mean, it's a humbling experience, but it also electrifies you. And the thing about being on stage is, someone asked me, what's it like to go on stage in front of all those people? You know, it's very hard to describe. There's no words to describe it except to think, or for me to say that your life, you see it in incredible slow motion. You think in nanoseconds. Yeah. Because you're right in that moment, and what the others play, you react to. Yeah. And it's instinctive. You know, we've been doing it so long. We kind of, you know, we do it without even thought, really. But yeah, a good gig is incredibly uplifting because it's not just a band and an audience. It's both of us together doing something else. And not to put too arty a point on it, it feels like it's just a celebration of life. We're all there for the same reason, and it's all to do with noises. Yes. What a beautiful thing. You know? It's a good news. It's a good news day. All right. Yeah, I mean it's the noises. I mean, there's also the visual part of it. I guess has become more important over time as well. No, not for us. Not for us. In fact, all this idea about going on and having a big stage set and getting dressed up and all that, we've never really. We have kind of toyed with it, but we don't like it that much. As a matter of fact, having the drums on a riser. Yeah. You know, I remember when I was 15, that was my ambition, to be in a band where the drums were on a riser, because it seemed like the thing to do. And we realised that when we're rehearsing, we're all on one floor, and it's so much better. We feel more comfortable like that. So all this risers and extra effects and stuff are at a minimum as far as we're concerned. What we're trying to say is there's 5 musicians. That's the focus. Yes. Not this incredible light show or these catwalks where you run up and down. And we're not that kind of band. We're a musical band rather than a show band. I think it's in the documentary that I believe is coming out next month on Sky Arts, where Steve Morse was saying that his only prerequisite or concern about joining the band is whether you can still wear jeans and t-shirt. Yeah, that's become a good anecdote, yes. Is there any dress code?
Yeah, so that was my favourite part.
I think Steve was actually surprised that we even approached him. I wasn't surprised, but he said, "What do you want from me?" You know, I'm not.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, look, actually, that's the point.
Yeah.
We don't want. You know, Ritchie Blackmore is a one-off. You can't replace him. I mean, brilliant, fantastic. There's so many words you could talk about Ritchie, and most of them good. But to replace Ritchie with a sort of cardboard cutout lookalike would be a death. We wouldn't last that long. You can't repeat yourself like that. We had to change, we had to morph into a new band, and that's what we did with Perpendicular. And I think that's the reason why we're still here, is because we've changed. And yeah, people are going to love the old days, and hopefully people are going to love the new days, and that's the end of it.
Well, thanks for that, Roger. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Just to remind people that the album, I think, is formally out the 7th of April.
Correct.
And the tour kicks off in Romania, from recollection, in May.
Yeah.
Runs through at least the first 3 legs that have been announced to November, and we'll be at the last show. The last show of this segment, of this portion.
As Ian Pace is fond of saying, we never use the word last.
Yeah, so
it's as long as we can make it.
And I mean, the great news for everyone out there is that I've heard a lot of the album, and it sounds fantastic. Production sounds fantastic. Performances sound fantastic. The energy is all there. So
Right, yeah.
again, congratulations on a great job, and looking forward to seeing it performed in the live context.
In the flesh.
In the flesh.
Yeah. Bless you, man. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.